Hello and welcome to the White Gray Black Weekly Manga Podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about all of the latest and greatest ongoing manga releases and discuss why you should be reading all of them. My name is Bruce. I am the proprietor of the White Gray Black YouTube channel, and with me again this week is Gautam.
What's up, fellas?
Please keep in mind, for all major discussions, we will be talking spoilers up to this week. This means Chainsaw Man, Chapter 119, the Ichinose family's Deadly Sins, Chapter 10, and then a new series with only a single chapter called 7's. Let's start out with a quick news segment that might go a little bit longer, because let's start off with the big news, I guess, is the One Piece live action released first true promotional images for the show, which is airing this summer. So, how did you feel? There's only really two pictures there released, one of Luffy and one of the whole crew. I'm going to keep it on the Luffy picture because this is a much better visually edited picture than the other one. So,
Yeah, both look a little bit janky, but I like you said, but I think it looks good. This is a good starting poster. If visually it didn't look like CGI and a bunch of filters.
Yeah, and the Luffy one looks okay. This one has mostly lighting issues and compositing. I'm not going to nitpick it too much, but like, why the Sunny is casting no shadow? Why can we see the back of these people at all? Why are they backlit? What is backlighting them in outside? There's no backlight outside, which is why this one with Luffy works, right? Because he's really dark, generally pretty dark in the back, and it's like, yeah, that's what he should look like. And then here it's like they're all kind of fully backlit, but they're recreating. This is a classic pose from. This might be an anime shot. I don't remember. I've seen this picture before from either manga or anime or both.
Well, Luffy does that pose all the time.
He does, and they're all in a pretty classic. I mean, Sanji's hands in his pockets. So yeah.
Yeah. That aside, they look good. I like the poses. Goddamn, Sanji's looking buff, bro.
Yeah, Sanji is a buff dude. I think that was the biggest kind of like, because I think the cast for this is great. I think if this show fails, it'll be the same thing with Cowboy Bebop, right? That show sucked, and it was not the fault of any of the lead actors. They were all pretty decent. John Cho was good. What's his name? Who played? All three of them were good. Just the show was bad and written, and nobody understood it. I have been following this pretty closely because I'm interested, and the interviews I've seen with the creators of One Piece live action have seemed really encouraging. They have told us about Oda going on site to consult with them. He has corrected them on things, which is good to know that he has that kind of power. And I think even if he didn't logistically have that kind of power, if Oda was there and said something, he would listen to him. I think the actors all look great. I've seen the guy who plays Sanji, when he got cast, he showed him oh, I'm doing kick training. I was like, oh, cool, he's doing kick training. And he posted a video maybe a week or two ago, and this guy is the best kicker I've ever seen. I don't know how to describe it in a more succinct way, but he was doing some cool stuff. I wonder if I can go pull that up for any watchers here.
But yeah, I think regardless, it's clear that whoever designed the sets, whoever's casting director, all of that stuff, it's clear that a bunch of love was poured into this. Do I think it'll work? Absolutely not.
Yeah, but I still have reservations here, of course.
I just don't see any universe where this ends up being a good show in any way. But I would more than happy to be proven wrong. If it is a good show, that would be great.
There it is. You can maybe see it on my screen if you're looking, but his name is, I think, Taz Skylar. This one is not the newest, most recent one I've seen, but this is still some of his training, right? And that's them on the Baratier set you saw for just a second there.
Yeah, that's sick.
One of the things that is encouraging to me about One Piece live action is the set stuff that they've done, which is they've essentially built. They've essentially built almost all of the boats. They built Baratier. They built who's the girl? the big girl's boat who they board at the during East Blue. They built that as a set.
Alvida, I think.
Alvida, yes. They built her boat. They built the Going Merry. Is that the first boat?
Yeah, Going Merry.
The Going Merry. They built that. I think they maybe used the same bones for the Alvida's boat and the Going Merry and stuff, but they built Arlong Park. I've seen some shots of that.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, and this is something that encourages me a little bit more about this is Netflix is positioning this as their big summer release for like May or June, probably. That means that they are hoping or banking on this being maybe the sort of off year of something like Stranger Things. I don't know if they necessarily think this will be as big as Stranger Things. Stranger Things is is amazingly huge, maybe like the one of, if not the largest streaming show ever.
I think currently it's Wednesday. That's the biggest streaming show ever.
Yeah, and Wednesdays. Okay. I guess right now, but anyways, they're
the
positioning
amount of money
it.
they poured into it. I think they expect big returns from this.
Yeah, and I think where I was going with that is they are positioning this to be their big sort of summer release, right? Like right when the kids are out of school or whatever, everyone's needs something to watch to occupy their time. Here's One Piece. And my guess is it'll be One Piece in, what is this year, 2023. And then I think 24 is we're going to get the last season of Stranger Things. And then my guess is if One Piece does well, they will immediately order a season 2 that'll start shooting before the end of this year. And then 2025 summer, we'll get One Piece season 2. So fingers crossed that it's good.
Yeah, I'm really hoping it is.
I
don't think it will.
I think even if it looks a little goofy, like even if you look at it, you go, man, the CGI sucks. If like, it doesn't matter. If they keep the core of the story and the good characters and the good storytelling, I think it'll still work. But we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it'll work with that. I don't have a lot of hope, but
I mean, there's no reason to have hope, right? What anime live action adaptation has worked at all? And the answer is almost none.
One. Yeah,
which one?
Rurouni Kenshin. That's the only one.
Okay, I have not consumed either version of that, but I have heard good things about it.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks good, but that's literally the only one, and it's only popular in Japan, right? So
yeah. So okay, One Piece live action. We will keep our pulse on that. I am expecting a trailer before the end of February. I think in the next 2 weeks. So if it drops one, maybe we'll do an emergency 10-minute podcast and put it out or something. But that might be fun. Quick sales stuff. Tokyo Revengers, the final volume. Absolute banger numbers, over 500,000 in a week. In the top spot on the Oricon sales here. Kingdom also selling a lot. I knew Kingdom was popular. I did not realize Kingdom was this popular. Yeah.
Back when Bleach was in the big three, right? Like it was like Bleach, Naruto, One Piece. Everyone made like kind of a pitch to like put Kingdom in there because it was like outselling either Naruto or Bleach. I forget which. Consistently. But nobody in the West ever like really reads Kingdom.
Yeah, well, and the big three is to me, the big three is a very specific moment in time. It had to do with the animes coming to the West. It isn't really just about what was selling the most in the year 2004, right? Because stuff outsold Bleach and stuff outsold Naruto in those years. But yeah,
I feel like it was like whatever the big three was, whatever was like pretty dang popular, but most popular among message boards in the West. You know,
yeah, for sure.
I don't think Japan would consider Bleach, Naruto, and one. Well, they would consider One Piece their big three, but you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if they're even aware of the idea of the big three, or if it's something that's Western specific or Western. We might have shipped it back over to them. I'm not sure, but Tokyo Revengers for the top 10 here in the sales. Man, Mystery to Iyunakare is like been in the top 10 for like 3 months now. Like, I really need to read this. This is apparently very, very good. Because I read almost everything else. Like, I dip my toes into Komi-san and quickly get back out because it's not very good. Akatsuki no Yona, I am aware of. I think I watched a little bit of the anime, but I don't read it. Tokyo Revengers, I'm not super interested in. But Chainsaw Man, Kingdom Oshinoko up here also.
Man, Tokyo Revengers has a lot of popular spin-offs.
Yes, and
Wow.
Japan loves it. I think the West is less receptive to it, just from what I've seen from Twitter and Reddit threads. But I mean, they're cashing in, right? This is Kodansha is smart to cash in on all of this. They are
Oh
making
yeah,
money by
it
making
ended, right?
spin-offs. So,
Yeah, it
um,
ended, and people probably still want some more. I totally get it.
yep. Here's just top by series. Tokyo Revengers, of course, first. Kingdom in second. Blue Lock actually in third, just from the past volume sales, getting up there. Chainsaw Man, Slam Dunk still up there.
Good to see Oshinoko up there. You don't really see it super often up here. Yeah, good to see. Yeah, yeah, kind of the same thing we see all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I was talking there and muted my mic for a second. So, Oshinoko anime coming in April. So that's already really popular. That's gonna get a huge bump, I think, especially because it's like a what is it, an hour and a half opening episode, 2 hour opening
Yeah,
episode,
that's
something like
right.
that, movie length. So yeah, One Piece Dragon in number 10, but no new volume for that. So it's still crazy
Yeah.
how popular it is. Um, so let's see, what other news did we have? Akane Banashi, our sweetheart here, series that we love, is getting another cover in Weekly Shonen Jump. What this means is that since the 2023 WSJ volumes have started, right, which those technically started in December, Akane has gotten 2 covers, 2 lead pages, and 3 color pages, and all of those are sort of related to popularity or advertisement, right? The series you're putting on the front, you assume is going to grab people's attention, right? Like One Piece shows up on the front of WSJ probably 4 or 5 times a year, stuff like that. So Akane in 9 issues, right, starting December to here the last week of January, 2 covers, 2 lead pages, 3 color pages. Quite literally half of the issues have had an Akane promotion or an Akane like, hey, read this. This is Jump's next big thing in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's the next big thing. It's already big and it's going to get bigger.
And I think it's not just sales or like
Mm-hmm.
popularity numbers. I think the reason they're pushing Akane so hard is it's not like the rest of the catalog. It's pretty different. And
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
that captures an audience that Jump doesn't usually capture. So I
Yep.
think,
I think we've
yeah,
talked about this, but I think it definitely skews, or at least reads better to female readers, which WSJ is not necessarily weak with, but weaker with, right? I mean, it's a
that's pretty
shonen
weird.
magazine made
Hmm.
for shonen, made for boys. So, yeah, and I think it also attracts an older crowd, right? Because anyone,
Yeah.
um, Rakugo is not something most weebs had heard of before the Roa Rakugo Shinjo show that was a couple years ago that got like rave reviews, which is a very, very good show. I have not watched all of it, but I watched the first half or so, and it's insane. But before then, I had never heard of Rakugo, right? And I mean, I'm not a Japanophile, but I am a weeb, like most people here are. But I'd never heard of Rakugo, and this is like, yeah, it's definitely going to skew older and more female, and I think they're seeing that as a huge opportunity. I think they already see them selling more to girls and more to an older crowd, and that's
I
yeah,
would
they're
bet.
not going to let up with that. So
Yeah, like it's even better that it's like incredibly popular because I think even if it was in like the middle of the category in the catalog of popularity, I think it would still be pushed. I think it would still
mhm.
not get the axe because it's still bringing in new people. But
Yeah, I think that
uh,
if this was just okay, they would maybe not be pushing it as hard, but you're right that it definitely has that appeal to those demographics that they don't normally hit. The fact that it is very good, the fact that it's maybe the best thing written in regular WSJ right now, yeah, means that it's very good. Uh,
mhm.
and they're pushing it not just because it hits those demographics, but it also is quality. And I think if you read the first volume or maybe even the first 2 chapters, you're gonna buy into it. So
Yeah,
yeah, we're
it's
super happy for Akane.
yeah.
Anime announcement. When do we? Anime announcement by December is my guess. Did we do this on predictions? I don't remember now.
I don't think we did. but I definitely
I'm
see it
already
happening.
feeling that it's going to be, because this will hit a year around May, I think. May or June is when this started. Maybe not, maybe even like April. Uh, yeah, I think by December this year we get an anime announcement or just anime production.
I
Um,
see one for Akane, and I also see an announcement for Sakamoto Days incoming.
yes, yeah. Didn't they already announce Sakamoto Days anime
I think that was
production?
Mashal.
Yeah, they definitely announced Mashal and Undead Unluck. I don't remember. I have to double check. Um, Next thing, there was a fun tweet that I read of the trend on Twitter this week has been, oh, what's your interesting little thing that you know about this niche topic that, no one else knows about. Read a couple of those from about manga, or this one was on, I think, just Weekly Shonen Jump magazine. This is from a Twitter user named Nice Baba Booey Bro.
Nice. Yeah, I
Bob,
love that. Yeah, I guess
Baba
that is what it is.
Bobby Booey Bro. Anyways, um, Weekly Shonen Jump has been published for 54 years. It has had a grand total of 728 published series. 561 of those have been canceled before they run for a whole year in the magazine. That means only 162 series have made it past 1 year of publication. That is a 22% a less than 1 in 4 survival rate for new series. That's pretty cutthroat.
Yeah, it's really cutthroat. Uh, yeah, that's not surprising. It's pretty brutal.
Yeah, there's also a little bit of I guess confirmation bias. Something one of those bias things, because well, if something makes it past 1 year, it's probably getting published for 3 to 5 to 7 years, and that's occupying. And so you aren't rotating constantly all the time. So
Yeah, but the other side of that coin is the gajillion people submitting their ideas and not even getting accepted, right? So
yeah.
I wonder what the like if you account for that, what the success rate of getting a published manga really
Oh,
is.
in Shonen Jump, it's gotta be super low.
Yeah, like less than
I know
1%.
that there is a competition that they run that promises that you're published, maybe just a one shot or maybe serialization. I think they run that once a year. And I'd have to look up more on that. I don't know the full details on it, but I know that there's that. Um, yeah, I can't even
Uh,
imagine how many people try to get in and don't. I also can't
my
imagine how I've read a lot of the canceled series from the past couple of years. I can't imagine how bad the people who don't even get accepted series are. I'm sure some of them are very good, but yeah, if you're not
yeah,
as
I'm
if
sure
you're
some
not
of
as
them
good
are
as
just not a
something
good
like
fit.
if you're not
Uh,
if you're worse than Ichigoki Under Control, then I can't. They passed you up for a good reason.
I also my fun fact is that there's like a three strike rule for applying to jump.
Mm.
So if they don't accept you after your third strike, you're just dead to them forever. So you have three
Turning my
attempts
lights on.
to
Sorry.
submit. Yeah, you have 3 attempts to submit your series,
That seems.
and
I mean, that seems fairly reasonable, I guess. Or else they would just
I
have
don't know.
people. I mean, one, I think it encourages people to work hard before they even try to submit, which would cut down on their submissions, right? You don't want every 16-year-old in the country submitting every manga idea every year. So you say, hey, build your quality, build your portfolio, work for other mangaka or whatever, then give it a try. So yeah, I would love.
Yeah. I
One
don't
of the
know.
things I want to do more than anything is I just want to sit down with like an editor or somebody at Shueisha at WSJ and just be like, how does this all work? I know that they are very closed system. I have like looked for how does the manga industry work, and all the videos, all the video essays, all the stuff I can read is like super closed door, or people kind of speculating on like, well, the editor gets the copies and then does a review, and it's like, yes, that's what an editor does, but they are clearly doing more. I want to talk to an editor. I want to talk to how they're choosing these series. I really want to know all that stuff. I want to go behind the scenes. That's a dream of mine someday. But
I think the biggest behind the scenes, of course, this is not like perfectly behind the scenes, but the biggest behind the scenes we've gotten is still Bakuman.
yeah.
the manga.
Yeah, and I've watched a little bit of that anime, but I should go and read more of it. That's a little dated now, though, because I'm also curious about how the digital services work and how Japan feels about those. I think that they've embraced them a lot more, but just kind of in how old style business is in Japan makes me curious about how they feel. Like, if something is incredibly popular on Jump Plus, do they care? I mean, I think they do, because Spy Family was a big one for them, and that was Jump Plus. Yeah. So, yeah,
I think they're slowly getting with the modern age.
Yeah, I think they're there, and I definitely think they could be utilizing Jump Plus even more, especially overseas. But because digital publication of an 8-issue manga or a 25 issue run or something is cheap to just host it. And if it's popular, then you order the hardcovers or the print version, and if it's not, okay, or if it's just medium, you go, all right, maybe we'll make one volume of it. But more news. What do we got? Scum's Wish by Manga Yokoyari, that's the artist on Oshinoko, is getting a reprint. I am happy for this artist because I think she is really great. She's also really funny on Twitter. And that's her series. She wrote and drew that, and it's getting a reprint. And that's pretty big for an author to get that again. That's got to be a decent windfall of money, because I think the bookstores buy those outright, and then it's kind of on them to push to resell them. So the author or the publisher, I think, just makes the money kind of wholesale when they sell those to the publishers. So
yeah, and she's more famously known for being the biggest Chainsaw Man fan.
Yes,
in the world.
Have you heard? This is a fun tangent. Have you heard the suspicion that Mango Yokoyari and Tatsuki Fujimoto, the author of Chainsaw Man, are actually married? Because they're both very private.
It's a fucking conspiracy theory and a half.
It is something that I saw. I remember seeing a couple months ago, and I was like, oh, that's funny. And I saw it pop up again, I think this week, and I was like, wait a minute. Do people have more evidence for this? And they're like, nope, Mango just tweets about, she tweets about Chainsaw Man like all the time. She literally like takes a day off work when a couple weeks ago Chainsaw Man was like really brutal, and she was just like, I cannot do art today. Chainsaw Man has ruined me. So, yeah, that would be an interesting thing. Last thing I have is just another little sales thing. Sakamoto Days has hit 2.5 million copies in 10 volumes, which is very, very good. That's, average 150K or no, 250K per volume. So that's numbers. That's awesome. That's anime numbers. So yeah, like you said, I think
disturbed.
I think we are getting Sakamoto Days sooner rather than later.
They really got to give Sakamoto Days to someone who can fucking keep up.
It's got to be a good studio. Yeah. If they do any kind of low budget on Sakamoto Days, it is not going to work. And that's going to be disappointing because the manga is really, really great visual.
I'll say the same thing. Anyone asks, like, if anyone asks about like what studio I want to do like a good high action show, I'll just keep saying Bones forever.
It's like Bones or Madhouse. Those are the first two. It's always just like, give it to Bones or Madhouse. I think
Madhouse, if it was like 2005, yeah, but like
Madhouse still does good stuff.
What?
Most likely, who are we kidding? Mappa's going to do it, and it'll be good.
Oh, yeah,
it'll be fine.
Mappa does every anime in the future.
I'm waiting for. I wonder who owns Mappa, because I don't think the manga publishing studios directly own any of the animation studios, but I'd have to look that up. It would be interesting to see Shueisha just buy Mappa and just say, like, you're a great studio, and when we order a shonen animated show, Mappa's doing it because we own you now.
Yeah, I wonder if they probably do have contracts like that.
I'm sure they're more egalitarian, equality based than, that's the wrong word. Less, I am your boss and you must do this, and more, we are in agreement, but it'll be interesting to see. Yeah. So this week in manga, this is the week of twists. I don't know if you noticed it, but we're going to talk about 3 series, but there were more than 3 series that had big reveal type things this week. Start of the year has been very kind of big event focused, I guess. But let's start with the Ichinose family's deadly sins. So give me a little quick review of what happened this week while I run through the
Sure.
pictures.
Yeah, so this series is about a family who's all lost their memories after a car crash, and they're all kind of dealing with not knowing each other and trying to be a family again. Yeah, our MC is kind of incredibly optimistic, kind of keeping everyone on track, not falling into despair about not knowing each other or themselves. Uh, but yeah, in this one, it was focused a little bit on the dad who has been acting a little strange. They all decide to go on like a trip to somewhere as a kind of like a work trip that he's bringing his whole family to, and yeah, they have this kind of intense conversation in the car where his dad is
Yeah.
questioning the rest of the family's asleep. His dad is questioning our MC Subasa here about why he's so chill with having lost his memories and why he doesn't care about like trying to recover his memories in any way. Like he doesn't give remotely one shit. And it's there are a few flashbacks of like just scenes with Tsubasa, and it's just suspect. But then his dad again drives them presumably
Yeah,
off
with
a
this
cliff
with this
again.
great full page panel here on the right side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh
Taizen 5
Tsubasa
has kind of wacky character art that sometimes works for me, sometimes doesn't, but when things get intense, I love this panel on the right here. Like what a intense, cool just stuff flying through the air. It reminds me of da, 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 that Nolan movie. Not before Interstellar. Which one am I thinking of?
Inception.
Inception, yes. Inception when they're in the car and it goes slow-mo and everything's flying up. I can see it's the same kind of scene.
Yeah, and basically at the end of the chapter where we're at is it's a recreation of the very first chapter where they all wake up, except the dad is replaced with this white-haired dude or blonde dude or whatever his hair color
Yeah,
is.
lighter haired dude, yeah.
Yeah, uh, yeah. So no idea what the fuck is happening now.
Man, honestly, there's a lot to talk about here. First of all, you said, "Oh yeah, everyone is asleep in the car," but I don't think they were all naturally asleep. Do you notice? So I put these 2 pages in a row here.
It's a water bottle, right? They were drugged.
Yeah, it's something. I think they were drugged by I don't know exactly what it is, but yeah, because they're all awake. Like this is the end of this page, and the next page is like he's like weary-eyed, waking up. Everyone else is knocked out. Yeah, I think you can
It's
see the
water
open
bottle.
water bottles down there. I think that's a good call. I didn't even realize that, but yeah, I mean, I think he drugged them to knock them out, which is sinister and maybe even more interesting than the fact that he drove them off a cliff, in my opinion.
Yeah. Clearly the dad is sketchy as fuck, but the Subasa also seems sketchy as fuck.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here.
They're
Which
all
is
sketchy.
Yeah, and so we talked about. I'm trying to think. The last time I talked about Ichinose was maybe 6 or 7 weeks ago.
Yeah, when it
And
came out, like
yeah,
close
and
to when it came
we
out.
talked back then about how we think this series is going to go, and we both kind of agreed that they'll all work through their problems. We'll kind of go one by one, build some character. We'll get reveals about the past. The family will like come together. Maybe one of them will die. Maybe there's another family member. We kind of postulated a couple of twists. I didn't see a single person call this in any comments or any Twitter threads or anything. Nobody said the dad is suspect and he's going to drive them off a cliff and give them all amnesia again. Although I will say that it seemed as though Ichinose, they kind of claimed amnesia, but I didn't put the page in here, but when he saw the new dad introduce himself, he had flashbacks to his past dad and flashbacks from not his past life, but the part that we've seen in the manga so far. So he is not fully amnesiac. He's not fully forgotten everything that happened there. So my guess is
And you can
that's
see
the
it in this
onus.
page too. You can see it in this page because in the very first chapter, he doesn't know his own name, right?
Yeah,
Here he's responding to his name Subasa.
true. Yeah, that's good.
So
I mean,
yeah,
here we have a little bit
yeah,
of it, right?
he's remembering
He
it. Yeah.
flashbacks to his first dad, second dad, third dad, who knows how many dads. His dad also says something here. Yeah, at the top right of this panel, right? After Tsubasa wakes up, his dad says, "In the end, we failed to figure anything out again. We didn't even learn about the accident." So this is like M. Night Shyamalan twist bullshit. Like, what is going on now? This took a massive turn, and I'm loving it. I love this chapter. I'm super excited for where it's going next.
And this might be a nothing observation for me here, because I think we got the big ones out of the way. But one thing to note is that when the new dad, when Dad 2 dropped in at the end of this chapter, the rest of the family doesn't look as annoyed and stressed about like not knowing who they are. They all look pretty chill and happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're all like smiling, you know.
Yeah, I don't. This
that's the opposite of chapter 1.
Yes. So scratch everything we said a couple weeks ago. What is happening with the series now, do you think? Where do you think we go? Is this there's two directions I see, so you can tell me how you feel. Is the whole family some sort of construct around Tsubasa for, I don't even know, I can't even postulate on a reason why, to make him remember something else or forget something? Or is just the dad a plant and the whole family does have amnesia? Is their amnesia real, or is it drug-induced, maybe by the dad? I don't know. There's a lot of different ways this could go, and I'm not sure.
See, the sister seems genuine, right? That's my confusion about all of it.
I would say in the past 9 chapters, the sister did seem to genuinely have amnesia, be surprised about her situation, etc., etc. So, yeah.
I was thinking it's kind of like a, God, what's that Jim Carrey movie? Truman Show. A Truman Show type situation where they just recast the dad here.
Yeah. That's okay. That's interesting. I did not think about that. That's okay. I like that. That's what a cool take. Truman Show.
Yeah. I'm leaning towards that, but I still have no idea.
Yeah, I don't really know either. This is, I know that when I talk to you a couple times, when series start out in their first 4 or 5 chapters, I'm like, it's okay. The premise is fine. I always tell you, like, they need to do something big. They need to really throw me for a loop or change the premise because it isn't working for me. I know I've kind of been asking for this in, like, Replicant 100 is one that I think needs to kind of throw a wrench and change stuff up. Cypher Academy is another one that I wish had kind of done this. Now, they still have time to do that. Neither of those are at chapter 10, which is where this threw a wrench and everything. But I love this. I mean, I liked this series before, and this now is like, okay, real shit. Like,
right.
You were gonna, it's introduced us to, hey, you're gonna like these characters and they're gonna have this good growth and there's interesting stuff. And it's like, oh, but by the way, real shit. The dad is replaced. The dad is working against the family. The dad poisoned or, knocked them out and drove them off a cliff, and he's gone now. It's just wild. I love it. I love when series do twist stuff like this.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really compelling so far. And luckily it's not bi-weekly, so we'll figure some stuff out next week, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
It's not bi-weekly, right?
No, it might take a break every once in a while, but it has not so far. It's taken the regular breaks we got over Christmas and stuff, but
got it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just weekly. So, yeah, I don't even know. Every chapter after this is I'm at the edge of my seat on Ichinose family.
It's all Calvin ball after this, man. No rules. I have no idea what's gonna happen.
You're joking, but I mean, pretty much. I mean, they pretty much, because I think the way that you and I talked about how we expected the future of this to go, before we had the sister arc and everything, it like pretty much lined up. Like, yeah, the sister's arc was, they kind of reconnected. They showed each other their rooms and they, talked about their emotional concerns and there's some character stuff. And it was like, okay, yep, this is expected. It's still good. It's still well written. But this is exactly what we expected. This is not what I expected at all. So I am very curious what happens next.
Yeah, me too. Especially since the new dad doesn't look like any of the family, unlike the old dad. I don't know. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, I don't know. I mean, the old parents maybe have light hair, so who knows?
Yeah.
But I won't put too much faith in that. Here's a quick question. Do you think Dad won? The dad who drove them off the cliff, the dad who is sitting on the park bench in this panel here. Do you think he is Tsubasa's biological father, or do you think there's something else going on? Do you think he was potentially another actor replacement plant, something?
It's so tricky to say, but I think probably his biological dad. I think everyone but this guy. If dude, this is all guesses, right? But I think everyone but this new guy is his biological family. His dad just got recast because he tried to kill him again. He's ruining the play, or whatever this setup is. If I'm going with my Truman Show theory, I'm guessing he just got recast. And
yeah,
but again, the Truman Show theory could be very wrong. Something else could be happening.
I mean, even if it isn't specifically they're filming a show or doing some kind of production like that, it still feels very similar. Of someone is watching and has replaced a part of the family and is I don't know.
It does feel like that, especially since their rooms are all like very
dramatic.
They're dramatic, but they also showed the doors in front of the rooms, and they're all like separate. They look like a little experiment chambers or prison cells.
Ooh,
type thing. They don't look like apartment.
Experiment chamber is a good way to put the way they're lined up. Because someone comments on it in chapter 2 or 3 or something of like, don't families normally like share rooms, and we're all just kind of have our own weird rooms in this hallway? So it does feel very kind of social experiment-y. I wonder if that lines up with what the dad says here, the sort of, we failed to figure anything out again. I also wonder, not really spoilers for Takapi's Original Sin, because it's like in the first 3 pages, but Takapi's Original Sin is a bit of a sci-fi element to it, right? There's a space alien, and he does magic, sci-fi tech, whatever. Mm-hmm. This so far has essentially not directly shown any sci-fi or fantasy elements. Do you think there will be a sci-fi or fantasy element in an Ichinose in this series?
If there is one, it would be a time loop if I had to guess. Because of the maybe because of the word again, we failed to figure out
potentially
anything out.
We'll definitely see next week if their lives continue or reset. I'm down for time loops. Time travel's my shit, man.
Yeah, here's my wild haymaker theory on just this series that could very well be wrong. I don't think Tsubasa's ever had amnesia. Maybe he has repressed memories of some kind.
Yeah, that repressed memories would be my guess for... Maybe he does also have amnesia, but my guess is he's repressing something.
Like traumatic stuff,
or multiple traumatic things, yeah.
Yeah. So this whole thing could just be a self-defense mechanism. That's why he's not interested in figuring out, like...
Yeah, he just wants to keep going because whatever's in the past is bad.
Yeah. So... I guess we'll see. Either way, very compelling.
Super compelling. Love the twist. My guess is there is some kind of fantasy or sci-fi element that we're going to get in this. That seems... I mean, having only read Takapi's Original Sin, I think the author likes using that. That definitely seemed like a pretty core part of Takapi. So my guess is that we see...
I think that's a fair guess, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see something eventually.
What do you think?
I don't even know what to think. I mean, I think there will be some kind of sci-fi element here. I don't think it's time loop. I think it's more likely that there's some secret that Tsubasa knows, or some past event that someone is interested in getting out of him, or maybe the whole family. I just like the sort of, we failed to figure anything out again. We didn't even learn about the accident. Like, those 2 lines are like, that's the like big reveal, right? The big reveal is there's something they're trying to learn, because they say they didn't figure anything out again, which means that they have done this, or they have done something dramatic in the past. And they say we didn't even learn about the accident, which either means the first original accident, or some past a different other accident, right? So yeah, there's something funky going on here.
It could very well be that it's kind of like a mislead here when he says we didn't learn about the accident, implying that he's talking about the first car accident, like you said,
right.
And it could be like a separate accident.
That's kind of where my mind is going, right? My mind is this is a misdirect of, the first accident that we heard about in the first chapter, and I think this is a different. My guess is this is not the first accident that reset in chapter 1. This is something from farther back. You know, multiple crashes or multiple different accidents or a single bigger event earlier on. I think it's going to be
Right.
something like that. So
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is a misdirect.
cool. Speaking of twists and time loops, did I order these in the wrong order? I did. That's fine. Let's talk about this new series called 7's. We just got this translated in the West. This is by an author named Kido Jiro. This is an interesting little thing. There's a main character and a main girl. The opening page is the main girl asks like, will you stay, like, will you protect me, and he's like, oh my gosh, she's confessing to me. Her name is Nagisa. She's confessing to me. He's like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. The main character is goofy in a way that I really like. And he goes home. He kind of gets made fun of by his family, who I thought was pretty interesting and fun. Kind of seems like a serious thing. He gets a weird text from Jigen Rider. Dimension Rider is a translation for that. Is who we are told is some kind of criminal who takes delight in people's reaction to his crimes. Kind of a dramatic thing there. He then kind of, says, okay, yeah, let's try dating if you want me to protect you. And she's like, nope, don't want to date you, just need you to protect me. And he's like, what? And they go around school a little bit, and he's like, I don't understand. Like, you confessed to me. Don't you want to date me? Isn't that why you want me around? She's like, no, like, I just need you to protect me. And then they're like, what? They're like, okay, well, let's walk home from school together. They walk home from school, and this guy rides by on his bike and shoots Nagisa in the head. And the main character, like, holds her in his arms as she dies. And then there's a full black double spread, which I didn't add because why would you just put that? Full black double spread, and they restart the day right at the moment, basically, where Nagisa is asking him to protect her. And there's some more text and some more exposition. They are trapped in a time loop. The time loop resets when Nagisa dies. Jigen Rider is coming after Nagisa, and she says that in a previous loop, she lived for the longest time when she was with the main character. So that's like the premise for this series. And chapter 1 I thought was awesome. This has almost everything I like in it, to be honest.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I'm a huge fan of death game stuff, so
and I'm a huge fan of time travel stuff, so it's tickling both of us for different reasons, but we're both kind of hyped for what it is.
yeah, and I think this is a good start, right? Because like you said, I think the main character is fun. I thought his family was fun. I think like the author did a good job of not like just info dumping the premise and instead establishing the characters just a little bit.
Yep.
To make me give a shit in the first place. Yeah, so far so good.
Yeah, and even though, I mean, the main character looks generic, but I would definitely say that they have a personality that's pretty wholly their own, which always feels good. Doesn't feel as much like a self-insert character, maybe a little bit for the readers to dump some exposition into, because he doesn't know what's going on. Nagisa does, the other people do. But he was sort of like, he was goofy. It's the first time he's been confessed to. He's never had a girlfriend. I thought his family was really funny when he does that interaction. I'll be interested to see where this goes, because yeah, when I ran a D&D game a couple years ago, and one of my favorite things I ever did was like a time loop segment that they did for a session or two. Time loop stuff is very cool.
Speaking of D&D, that actually reminds me of that was like my favorite arc in the Adventure Zone, a D&D campaign run by the McElroys. They had a time loop.
Yeah, the 11th hour, right?
Yeah,
yes, that is easily I think the best arc, I would say. Of my favorite arc of the Adventure Zone is definitely the 11th hour.
This is really fun. And in regards to this manga, I'm curious to see where it goes, because it could do really well because it started out really well, or it could flub it. It's very easy to do it, to fuck up death games and time loops. Like, those are hard to write. But strong premise so far. I have questions to speculate on this, but I don't know the author like I do with Ichinose. like I know the Ichinose family author is talented and thinks about stuff like that.
And they have a completed series that kind of informs what they're doing. Let me see if this Kitojiro has done anything else. They did art for something with an incredibly long name that has a 7.5 on Mal, so that could mean anything. Yeah, they have just one other series with art, so yeah, hard to tell what this author is going to do. Yeah, hard to make predictions because a good chapter 1, as we saw with Earthchild last year, a good chapter 1 doesn't mean anything. It means it's a good chapter 1. So we will see where this goes. I hope that the main character doesn't go generic. I hope he doesn't do the stupid mental break thing that people like to do in time loops, or if it does, I hope it's done well. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I wonder, since Nagisa the girl said that she lived longest when she was with him, I wonder what that entails. I wonder if that means that he has some kind of ideas or maybe not necessarily special powers. We were talking that this reminds me a little bit of Mirai Nikki, Future Diary, famous for it's probably the most popular yandere ever, right? Yunogasai. Anyways, that's sort of a death game with a little bit of time travel elements to it. This feels like it could be like a better version of that, like a less campy, a silly and stupid version of Mirai Nikki. But we'll see.
I guess my questions here are like, why does he only remember in this loop if he's protected her in previous loops? And 2, why didn't she kind of convince him the same way she did in previous loops, where she wasn't able to convince him properly in this loop and she died, right? So I don't. The thing is, like I said, I don't know the author, so I don't know if he's thought about that or not. But if he has, then I'm interested, right? Like I'm curious to see how that's explained, how the MC fits into all this. Yeah, it'll be cool.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea. The idea of starting, well, this is not the first loop, right? Like in media res is the idea of starting a story in the middle of it, in middle. I don't know what res means, but
resolution.
Or res might be middle, because in media, yeah, res might be middle. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, the idea, yeah, you're right, because something like Groundhog Day, right? One of if not the most popular time loop media things, starts before he's done a single loop. He does the first day, he loops. Now it's the second day, he loops. Now it's the third day. This is assumedly, who knows how many loops. In fact, the MC asks the girl, is like, how many times have you looped? And her eyes like go like wide and dead, and she does not answer. So my guess is this has been going on for a very long time. But yeah, I don't know why he doesn't remember. Maybe we'll learn about some mechanics of it in the future, but who knows? I'm interested. Yeah. I'm definitely, chapter 1 has grabbed me, so I hope that the future chapters keep up with the quality here.
I hope so too. I hope it's not a dumb twist where he's the Trigun rider all along. That would be silly.
I didn't think about that, but yeah, that's what it could be.
I really hope that's not it, because that would be dumb.
Yeah, when you enter into time travel shenanigans, there is always the potential for your future or past self is the bad guy. Some things do that interestingly. Without too many spoilers tying it into that, if you have not seen, there's I think it's a Spanish movie called Time Crimes. That is very cool, that plays on that idea. I think it's in black and white. It's like a artsy, low budget suspense time travel thriller. It's very, very cool. One of my favorite sort of condensed single timeline time travel movies. Highly recommend that.
A worse version of that is called Looper, if you've seen that.
Yes, I've seen Looper.
Yeah, it's the same premise of what we just talked about, but it's bad.
Looper isn't bad. It's just okay.
It just doesn't follow its own logic.
Yeah, it doesn't. Its rules of time travel do not work. But it's still an okay movie.
I guess it's fun. It just pisses me off when that happens.
I agree.
Which I guess is a me thing. But yeah.
I mean, I'm a stickler for time travel rules because they're cool when you stick to them. And oh god, I can't do it. I've talked your ear off about the rules of time travel and how there's single single timeline and multi-timeline time travel, and they're very different.
This.
I will not do that on the podcast, not today. Back to the Future is the best time travel series of all time. Go watch that. Anything else?
It's amazing.
Anything
and
else
best,
on
best
7's?
anime is Steins Gate.
Steins Gate also Steins Gate is amazing. That was my first anime where I said like, wow, anime can be like art. Very good.
That's a 10 out of 10 for me. I love
Steins Gate, yeah.
But yeah, nothing else to discuss on this yet. Because I think I need a chapter 2, chapter 3 to see if it stays good.
It introduced a premise but didn't give us much more. Any guesses on why the title of this is 7's?
Oh, that's a good point. I don't know the main character. Does he have a 7 in his name?
I couldn't answer that because I do not know enough about kanji. He very well could.
Yeah.
Nagisa also could. The way they spell names with kanji and all the letters and things, I don't know enough about it to say. So, very possible.
No idea. It could be based on like a card game type like theme. Could have to do with the week, 7 days in a week.
I also don't know. The translation of 7's could be plural. It could be possessive. Who knows? Yeah.
Is 7 still a lucky number in Japan, or is that just
I think
the West?
4 is the lucky number in Japan. I don't remember though. 7 might still be a lucky number.
Yeah, it's actually 7 in Japan.
It is still 7. Okay.
It's 7.
Maybe it's Chinese where it's 4 or 3. 3 or 4, I think, in Chinese is the lucky number. But
so maybe it's called 7's because this guy is like a good luck charm or something.
Ooh, yeah, could be something like that.
Yeah,
good guess.
But
cool.
But all surface level guesses until we
yeah, we'll follow up on this if we get something next week. I don't know if this is weekly or monthly. Hard to tell when we get fan translated stuff like this, but
true.
Yeah, we'll follow up on this whenever we get chapter 2 or 3 for sure. But yeah, let's talk about not so much a twist, but a big
Chinese Naruto.
Did you read Chinese Naruto?
Yeah, it wasn't very good. I don't think
it's not very good.
No,
yeah. We're talking about this series called Jingashi X. Let me find the author for it real quick.
Oh, are you looking up Jingashi X? Yeah, effectively what I thought about that was that it was Naruto minus all the character flaws that made it interesting.
Yeah. This is okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm searching Jingashi X and it is giving me just a lot of Yuri and a lot of BL, which is not so the search
Hell yeah, brother.
The search is corrupted. It will not give me an answer. It's vampires and it's literally Naruto with vampires instead of whatever their magic stuff is. It's literally just Naruto. Like I don't know how else to describe it.
People love fucking vampires, bro. If you think about it, Demon Slayer is just fucking vampires.
Demon Slayer is just vampires. Yeah, I mean, and vampires are really just a version. I mean, there's like the ancient myth of the undead, which feeds zombies and vampires, and zombies' idea of consuming humans and the vampire idea of drinking blood, also just consuming humans, are kind of stem, I think, from the same origin, I would guess, thousands of years ago or hundreds of years ago or whatever. Let's talk about Chainsaw Man again, because we're going to hit Chainsaw Man probably once every 2 months. It's just that good and that cool to talk about. I feel like that's about the trajectory we're on.
I feel like our rule for covering shit that we cover is if there's a dope chapter we just want to talk about and it doesn't feel like there's anything else worth talking about, we'll just go back to the goats.
I mean, we do have to put an exception in there for One Piece because we would just talk about One Piece every week if we didn't.
That's true. There should be a restriction on One Piece.
Or maybe not. Maybe we should unleash it and talk about One Piece every week.
I will say the biggest restriction we should put on One Piece is that I can't control my bias, so I think any kind of award show we should just remove One Piece from it because it's just really good. So,
I can see that.
Yeah. Yeah, why don't you kick us off? What did you think of this chapter? Why don't you do a short recap of this
Yeah,
chapter?
so quick recap. Denji and Asa, what's her other name? I'm forgetting it now.
Yoru.
Yoru, yeah. They go on what Denji thinks is a date. They go back to his place, and he reads her rights. He reads the rules. He says, unbreakable rule number 1 is don't open the door to any other apartment. Rule number 2 is don't open the fridge. Rule number 3, the most important one, is no matter what, don't make out with me in front of her. And he's talking about Nayuta, right? Who, if you are not caught up on Chainsaw Man, this is major spoilers for the first part. Nayuta is the reborn version of the control devil, Makima. And so that happens, and then she kind of says, like, hell, I'm not here for a date, blah, blah, blah. And Denji's like, I didn't put the panels in here, but Denji has an internal monologue where he's like, what the hell? I thought you liked me. I thought this was a date. This is exactly like a date.
He
which
has
is hilarious.
A full page and a half, like,
Yes.
mental struggle, whether he smells like a dog or not, and if dogs smell good.
Yeah, it's like, maybe I shouldn't sleep with 14 dogs. Then he like asks her, I think he asked her in the chapter, like, do I smell like a dog? And she's like, what the hell? And then we, Asa, this is the death. Is she the death devil? Why am I
War Devil.
War Devil. War Devil, right? Takes control, kisses him. Although people noted in some of the comments that Denji's is like forcing his lips closed because he has PTSD from being kissed by what's her name in part 1, when she barfs in his mouth.
I did not even notice that.
I saw some people point that out, and I was like, that's actually hilarious. Well, and I mean, in part 1, he kisses 2 people, right? One of them barfs in his mouth, and the other one bites his tongue out. So he does not have a good history with kissing girls. And so, yeah, he's like probably mortified right now. But essentially that happens. Nayuta comes home after walking the dogs. We get this cool panel that everyone has seen, the pretty obvious visual parallel to Makima and her chains kind of at the end of part 1, connecting her to all the people she has control of. All these dogs look very happy. I wonder if this
are happy.
Yeah, I wonder if this means anything. But she comes in, sees that Yoru is kissing Denji, and then calls her a thief, points at her, and a chain shoots out of her finger and goes through Yoru's head. I guess this is Asa technically, since it's
right,
the devil version. But calls her a thief. She has the same hairstyle as Makima, or is sort of trending towards a similar hairstyle. Yeah, it's just wild. What a cool chapter. The goofy chapters I love. This reminds me of the chapter a couple months ago where they're just sitting and talking, and the girl's like, I killed a man. I'm a devil. I'm gonna mess up the school tomorrow. Don't go to school tomorrow. That chapter where it's like kind of a serious, but then it gets really goofy and severe after that. I don't know. Fujimoto is a genius.
Yeah. I will say there's one thing that I kind of noticed. I don't know if it's in the comments or anything because I didn't read them yet. But Denji's plant next to the TV is well taken care of and healthy,
Yes.
and Nayuta's plant is dead. Which I don't know what that implies. Maybe she's a kind of a brat and bad at taking care of her things she's controlling.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like Denji is afraid of her, right? The way that he says in this panel, like, no matter what, don't make out with me in front of her. All caps, bold lettering. Yeah,
I think it implies that while she's the control devil, she's not like Makima where she's able to manipulate. She's still like a kid who doesn't know how to take care of shit or her belongings or property very well, as shown by the plant.
And one theory that I saw was that since the first 2 rules are like don't open other doors other than mine and don't open the fridge, that's very sort of like teaching a child, like, you live here, don't open the other doors in the apartment complex, like, don't just open the fridge whenever you want, close the door. That's very sort of like teaching a child how to do something. So I wonder if that, yeah.
I don't know if you noticed the funniest gag in this chapter, but they have a calendar of the amount of times they farted.
Yes, they're like fart counter. Yeah.
Yeah, the fart counter for the month, and Denji's losing by a decent margin.
Oh, is he losing? I was thinking he was winning when I saw that, but
well, I think like the more farts you have, the worse, right? Like,
Oh, got golf score. Yeah.
yeah.
Golf score fart tallies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah, this chapter like really encapsulates what I love about Fujimoto's writing, and that's that like you can maybe predict the big moments, but like man, you cannot. No one can predict these sort of little micro moments. The like Denji thinking if does he smell like a dog, the kiss, like all these little things that happen are like so wild and so funny. All the little details. He's just so good at this like gonzo sort of comedy horror thing, right? I mean, in this chapter, it seems goofy to talk about how funny it is, but it's like, okay, but a girl gets possessed, kisses a guy who is afraid that his mouth is going to be barfed into or his tongue is going to be bitten out, and so he doesn't kiss her back. Like that's the horror vibes are there. They're just kind of masked by this weird gonzo humor that is just so interesting. it just doesn't exist anywhere else in manga that I just can't think of anything else I've read that's at least nothing that's popular enough to really be this readable. I mean, the only other thing I compare it to is like Fire Force. There's a little bit of this in stuff like Soul Eater, and Soul Eater and Fire Force have a little bit of this kind of like edging on horror aesthetics, but with a goofy style. But it's really different from what Fujimoto does with it.
I guess I wouldn't count this as what you're talking about, but I think Mirko-chan has kind of that, but that's
that's a good call.
You know? Yeah. But no, you're right. And I think that's like the cinephile in Fujimoto, like
for sure,
being displayed on the paper in a great way, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely I made a whole video about this. He is very influenced by the movies and especially by the sort of dark horror comedy. And this is exactly, I mean, this panel on the bottom here with Naruto walking in with the dogs, the way she's sort of profiled in the doorway back against the sun, like that's a horror reveal, right? That happens in movies like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You get the sort of backlit bad guy standing, in the doorway. This happens in Scream. Like that's a horror trope, like on the page right there.
Yeah.
But it's like funny because there's these dogs that are goofy and flying out, and like then you just got kissed, and yeah, it's just so hard to describe in enough words, but it's just so enjoyable to read Fujimoto and Chainsaw Man.
And like the dogs are just as happy with Makima, right? Is the implication that if you're under the control devil and she's like making all your choices for you, you're happier?
I think yes. I mean, in general, with Makima, the implication is her thing is
dog, right?
Yeah. Well, her thing was get Denji to give up his own sort of
autonomy.
Yeah, his own autonomy to her, so that she can control the powerful weapon that Chainsaw Man is. That's kind of what she wanted. So my guess is that probably because Nayuta's a child still, is that the dogs are, I mean, Denji being compared to a dog was a big sort of thematic element of part one. And it is it's very much implied here that, I guess it's very much implied throughout the whole series that being a dog for Makima is pleasurable, but not correct. I don't know where they're going with that with Nayuta. If it's going to be the same, is she the same kind of? I don't think she's going to be the same kind of bad negative influence, no matter what. But there definitely could be an element of control the devil, control the control devil, because if it gets out of hand, it will be bad like Makima was. So,
and with that panel with the plant, right? I think it's representative of like, I think when Makima was controlling people, she was doing it well to the point where it was like a conflict where she was controlling Denji. His life was better. He was getting fed consistently. He was living.
He was. He got to like touch her boobs. She fed him cake.
Yeah.
Like good quote unquote stuff happened to Denji while he was under her control. So,
I think it's similar with Nayuta, except she doesn't know how to control people that well because she's a kid and she's not taking care of like the reason Makima is able to control Denji so well is because she made him feel good all the time, right? She took care of him.
Or also it could be, I mean, Makima had grandiose plans, adult wants and needs sounds not what I'm trying to say, but right, she wanted Chainsaw Man for his power over other devils. Nayuta probably is like, I want the dogs to like me. I want a snack, right? I want to see what's in other people's apartments. She's a child, so assumedly she has more child sort of wants and needs.
Right.
Which is kind of what I'm dealing here. It's more like you're dealing with a what's the baby from The Incredibles? Jack? More of a Jack angle, right? Where it's a child with a child's kind of more animalistic wants and needs, as opposed to a, fully developed and grown woman who has these kind of complex plans and things like that.
Yeah, it seems like she's like a kid. She's just impulsive.
Right.
And
Yeah. Impulsive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I'm glad Nayuta's back. I'm glad she's a fucking menace.
Yes, this is what, and people have been waiting for this. I can't even think of a chapter discussion I've read where people didn't mention, maybe if they were in the middle of an action scene or something, but every other chapter, everyone's like, oh, maybe we'll see Nayuta. Maybe Nayuta will show up. Maybe we'll get, to know what Makima's up to or the Control Devil's up to. One thing I was going to say about the plants in the background, I wonder if because she is a child here and she cannot control plants because plants don't have consciousness, if she just doesn't care about the plant, right? She's just like, I like the dogs. I can control the dogs. I can control Denji. That's fun for me. That's what I want. I can't control a plant, so I'm not going to care about it or do anything to it.
That could very well be the case. I could definitely see that. I read it more as that plant belongs to her, just like everything she controls technically, quote unquote, belongs to her. But she's not doing a good job of taking care of it, right?
Yeah, or maybe it provides her no benefit, so she doesn't.
Right.
That's kind of a child selfish angle.
Yeah.
So,
all in all, I'm interested. Yeah.
Yes. What do you think? This chain shooting out of her finger, going through Yoru's head here. What do you think that means? Do you think that means she's taking control? Okay.
I don't think she can. Right? Because she needs approval to take control.
I don't know if that's true.
I remember when they were all like on the beach, right? She threatened Aki for approval, like to take control of his body. Otherwise, she threatened Power and Denji.
So, from what I understand from part 1 about Makima's power was that if you believe you are below Makima in any kind of hierarchy, she can just exert her power over you. And that's one of the reasons why she couldn't just control Denji and Chainsaw Man until he voluntarily submitted. He voluntarily said, I am below you, and then she could exert her power. So I think there is something like what you're talking about. I don't know exactly how it works or if it's even exactly defined, if it even is.
Yeah.
But there's something like that. There's a couple of theories that I'm into. One of them says Nayuta is not calling Yoru a thief for kissing Denji. She is calling Yoru a thief for possessing Asa's body, and Nayuta knows that somehow. Considering she is a master of control, someone else controlling the body of someone, she might be able to recognize, she might be able to call out, she might be able to know. So we might see... Stuff might hit the fan even more than we're thinking, because we might see Asa and Yoru split or changed back or something where Denji sees, oh, you're possessed by a devil, similar to the way that I am. We're all devils here. Something like that. I don't know. How do you feel about that one?
I don't agree with it at all, but I think that's an interesting theory and a good call out because I didn't consider that. For me personally, with the way Fujimoto writes, I think Nayuta's not going to be that competent. I think she's going to be more of a kid. I think the reason she calls Asa a thief is because she's trying to take her dog away.
Right, yeah. I think that is more likely. I think Fujimoto trends towards chaos over, I had this plan, I knew what I was doing all along, even though that's kind of what Makima was in part 1, but it wasn't... Mm-hmm. It was more of a controlled, directed chaos than it was scheming or having more knowledge or anything like that. Yeah, I do think the rules at the start definitely imply that Denji is already sort of under Nayuta in the same way that if we're assuming that things work the same as they did with Makima, where he sort of submitted to her and that gave her power over him, it seems like they are in the same relationship already, that Denji has sort of submitted to Nayuta in some way, and that she has control or some kind of power exerting over him, which is why those rules are so important. Because if Denji had power over Nayuta as a child, you would assume that he would not be concerned about breaking rules because he's the authority, but he's not. It seems like he is not the authority in the household.
Personally, I don't think he's under her control so much as he just doesn't know how to deal with her.
Right. Yeah. I don't think it's necessarily direct control. I think it's more like, he's appeasing her because she has power and he's afraid of it, or she's wearing the pants. Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily the direct control.
Yeah. But... like, I think Denji is already like kind of an emotionally and socially stunted moron.
I mean, for sure. Yeah.
So I don't think he knows how to handle like a little girl like that. But no, I think you're right on the money, right? Like, it's just I think it's like a parallel of Makima, except Nayuta doesn't really have a plan. I think she just considers Denji like either her brother or her dog or whatever, and just is just acting like a kid who's lashing out.
Yeah, although I do wonder, I know you said that Nayuta doesn't have control over him, but I wonder if it's one of these things where if he breaks those rules or if she breaks those rules or something, if, again, sort of on the kid with the superpower angle, if she gets out of control or angry or mad or something, if she gets emotional and releases her powers, she might be able to do something to Denji or make him do something that he doesn't like. Who knows? Could be something like that.
Or maybe make the dogs freak out. Who knows, right? Like,
it could be anything.
Yeah, I the only reason I don't think she has control over him is because Denji explicitly stated that nobody controls him, right? And the aquarium.
Yeah, I do think that. Yeah.
When he shot back at Asa, when she said just shut up and do what I say, right? And he's like, no,
I'm not. He's like, nope, I did that once and it turned out very bad. Well, I mean, for everybody else, it turned out very bad. He made it through, but
pretty bad for him. He lost all his like friends, right? Spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, this could be, we might, this is, probably a short follow-up next week if we end up doing a podcast, because, I'm super curious to see what the next week. It is on break, it's a 2-week thing. Okay, great. So we'll definitely be back when the Chainsaw Man is back.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to talk about this again, at least briefly, because, I don't know, I'm super interested in this. Chainsaw Man week to week is one of the best things.
Yeah, Chainsaw Man always hits, man. I agree.
He just knows, I had a brief conversation on Twitter with someone who made a video about Jujutsu Kaisen pacing and Chainsaw Man pacing and why is Chainsaw Man better. And I brought up the fact, and Fujimoto does this, and I've talked about it with you about a couple other authors of not sort of leaving the end of the chapter right on the reveal. You always stop right before the big reveal or right after. This is a right after the big reveal thing, right?
Yeah, right after.
This is right after, right? Because if the last panel on the page had just been a full page, Nayuta standing in the door, that's kind of the momentum of the story is peaked, and you're left there. My argument with why Chainsaw Man is good, why Fujimoto's good at pacing, is that he always ends his chapters. Imagine you're rolling a story ball to the top of a hill, and when it reaches sort of the crest, the climax, it then rolls down to the other side. I postulated that Fujimoto is good because he either leaves the audience with a little bit left to get to the peak of the hill, where the audience really wants to come back and push it over and see what happens, or he pushes the ball and lets it start rolling and then ends the chapter, so the audience goes, where's that ball going? This is the latter one, right? Where Nayuta shows up in the doorway, the ball is at the top of the mountain, the sort of pacing trajectory story ball, and then he gives you 2 more pages of she's doing something, the ball is rolling, stuff is happening, and then you end the chapter. This is something that, let's bash on My Hero. We haven't done that this week. This is something that Horikoshi is really bad at. Horikoshi does the big reveal and then he stops, and he does that every week. This past week, it was just the sort of big shot of Deku and the bad guy facing each other. That is literally ball at the top of the hill. We're waiting for things to explode. events happen before then, and it's pretty much every week with that with My Hero, right? The ball's going to roll down, action will happen, and then it'll be a ball at the top of the hill again next week, and that's why the pacing feels bad. There's other reasons. There's other reasons, internal pacing wise, chapter to chapter, but like between chapters, doing something like this, right? Not ending with the reveal, ending either right before the reveal, so that people come back and say, well, what's going to be revealed, right? I want to know, if the ball is going to reach the top, or sort of just unleashing chaos and then ending the chapter, I think are so much better to make you want to read next week than what other people do.
Yeah, and I also think it kind of fucks with speculation in the perfect way. Where I do think Fujimoto is kind of an unpredictable author, where you never fully know where it's going to go. But I think this kind of pacing structure also makes it breaks the normal manga format, which Horikoshi follows, right?
Right, the sort of the ball at the top of the hill, that's where you end the chapter. The next chapter, it rolls down, you push it back up, and then it ends at the top of the hill again. Yep, that's very much a sort of normal. That is, what's the...
Yeah, it breaks the audience's kind of equilibrium. So it's even if the writing is going to be conventional next chapter, or
it's the literal, it's a literal definition of cliffhanger, right? That's the leaving someone hanging off the cliff is the sort of apex of this uphill to get there, and then the downhill of do they fall, where do they go after that? And the cliffhanger works, but I think for manga pacing, slight tangent here, for manga pacing, the cliffhanger is a bad thing to do every single week. If you do that every single week, I think it exhausts people, and I think the pacing is bad.
Yeah, and I of course, not to rail on My Hero, but that's why
the
war arc.
I hate that.
Yeah, that's why the war arc was bad, right? It was Dabi one chapter. It's like, oh, I'm Endeavor's kid, and then the next chapter is like, oh, Mirio's back, but none of that stuff, and then it's like something else, and it's like none of it had room to breathe. So it was just the big cliffhanger was like, oh, look at this big reveal, and then they do another big reveal at the end of the next chapter and don't give any room for the previous big reveal to have its moment in the sun, So you're right. A cliffhanger every chapter kind of sucks.
Yeah, and this isn't something I think a lot of people notice, but they do complain about pacing, and it's definitely something that for me as a reader, when I'm thinking, because I'll read a chapter once, sometimes twice on Sundays or Tuesdays for Chainsaw Man. I'm not reading that chapter again for 7 days, and then 7 days later I'm reading the next chapter. And I think to myself as I open a chapter, I go, okay, what happened last time? Do I even remember what happened last week? And with Chainsaw Man and stuff like Dan to Dan, I always remember what happened last week because they left me with excitement or they left me with anticipation instead of just leaving me with a cliffhanger. Because a cliffhanger is like, a cliffhanger might make you remember the moment that you leave on, but it does not let you remember what happened in the chapter fully.
And I think a good cliffhanger works, but I think a lot of people don't do it very well.
I think used sparingly, it's still a good tool. I think the issue happens when you are cliffhangering essentially every week, like Corey does, or almost every week. The more you do it, the less impactful every cliffhanger is. Right? That's just a repetition thing that isn't. It's not a repetition that's solidifying a single point. It's a repetition of you're here for the roller coaster. In Six Flags Over Texas in Arlington, which is near where I grew up, there is a roller coaster called the Judge Roy Scream. It is just hills. Yeah, all it is up and down hills. And that's and it's like, is it a good roller coaster? I don't know. I hate roller coasters. I never rode it. But yeah, just doing the hills like that is like not as exciting as ending on a downward. Again, to reiterate, too many cliffhangers, not good for pacing. Fujimoto doesn't do this and is a really, really well-paced author.
Yeah, it's like if you do a cliffhanger, you have to follow it up with a good payoff. And if you don't, then you lose kind of credibility in what you like when you make another cliffhanger. When I see a Horikoshi cliffhanger, I know that this isn't really going to matter in the next chapter. And I as the audience, I feel like he's lost credibility in my eyes in setting up tense moments. So
For sure. Because, I mean, if
yeah.
every chapter ends in tension, does that tension mean anything when it's just going to be broken immediately at the start of the chapter? Not really. So,
Yeah, exactly, right.
Yep. Anything else on Chainsaw Man here as we move on?
No, I think we covered it pretty well.
Yeah, super interesting
Looking
chapter.
forward to, yeah.
Lots of twists and reveals this week. I did not grab pictures here. I'll Google. What do we got? I've been reading Trigun. Let's talk about that instead of my ADHD. Trigun is really good. Like, it's not just.
I don't remember enough of Trigun. It's been so long since I
encourage you to give it a try to read it. Yeah, even if you just read the original run, which is only like 20 chapters. It's legitimately like good storytelling and good character stuff and cool designs. The action art is a little messy. The art in general is a little messy. This might be because I'm reading scans from, probably 1998 or 99 or 2000 or something. But the art's a little messy, but the designs are great. It feels very One Piece with like kind of bad guys where it's like, yeah, guys can just be 20 feet tall and, round and have weird jaw shapes and be whatever. There's a lot of that in there, but just good.
That's what the Wild West was like, man.
Yeah. I mean, just good character stuff and like really interesting world building. And admittedly, it has been a lot of years since I've seen the Trigun anime. It is probably coming up on 10 years now since I've watched it.
Yeah, pretty much.
From what from what I understand, it diverges pretty quickly. I think it maybe covers the sort of base quote unquote manga, but doesn't go into Maximum. Although I don't even really want to split it up between there's Trigun and Trigun Maximum. It's the same story. It's a time skip. It had to move publishers. It's the same story. It's all just Trigun.
Does he still say love and peace?
He's maybe said that once. But yeah, I mean, it's just super interesting. Like, because I just read the first maybe 2 or 3 chapters of Maximum, and it's like he's like in hiding in a town, and the way he comes back is like it's very it is very Seven Samurai kind of. Hey, you're coming out of retirement because the world needs you, the world demands you, stuff like that. It's just like really good character work. I was expecting kind of a fun romp, right? It's only about 100 chapters total. I was expecting some fun. I kind of know the plot. I thought, okay, yeah, we'll get the kind of anti-violence, not a tool for war stuff. And instead, what I got was like the first 2 or 3 chapters are goofy. And then there's like a really good arc about like a hijacking. And then there's a really good arc with another town that gets saved. It's just like really good writing, like way better writing than I was expecting. It's just a really well-written series so far. I don't know if it loses any of that, but so far it's like, I mean, I've written 24 chapters total, I guess, but like it deserves the praise that it's gotten from what I've seen.
Yeah, good to hear. I always liked kind of Wolfwood, awesome character. But I've always liked Bash the Stampede. He's such a one of the fun, cool 90s characters. Have you seen Outlaw Star? Outlaw Star.
I have not seen Outlaw Star. No.
Yeah, Trigun came around at the same time. They have the same fashion sense, but I feel like Trigun, Bash the Stampede, is way better of a main character because of just how much of a fucking dork he is.
Yeah. It's so cool to see something that came out. So I think the first chapter of Trigun was maybe 95, and then it's quote unquote canceled in 97 when it's not canceled, but its publisher goes out of business, right? And then it moves to another magazine. It starts Maximum in 99 or 2000. So it like is published for I think 2 or 3 years, goes on break, starts again. It's very cool to see the sort of 90s design sensibilities back because I'm reading it and I'm going like, wow, it's very Cowboy Bebop. It's very sort of influenced by Akira post-apocalyptic type stuff. It has, the character stuff is really similar to early One Piece, the design type stuff. It's all very kind of 90s sci-fi, cyberpunk. It has all these cool sort of 90s vibes to it that like are just, they're not completely lost. They still exist in some places, but like they don't make them the same way anymore, Gautam. And it feels
Yeah,
very cool to read something that old that's still well written, still well executed, still drawn really well.
they don't make coats like that anymore.
No one does character
Especially.
design with the giant red coat and the Johnny Bravo hair. And yeah,
Yeah.
Wolfwood just shows up at the last like 2 or 3 chapters of the original, and then he's in the start of Maximum. So
Oh, cool. Got it.
curious to see where it goes from there. So
Yeah.
what's your extra thing this week?
Yeah. So, a game came out. They kind of shadow dropped it. It's called Hi-Fi Rush.
Yep.
It. I have not played it, but I saw the first level played through. Looks like a blast, honestly. The dialogue is fun, fast, corny.
Mm.
World looks really colorful, and the gameplay looks fucking
It
awesome.
looks awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is essentially a rhythm action game. So it is Devil May Cry, but you have to press the buttons in time with the music, or you don't do a combo. That's the gist of it, which seems
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Music was good from what I've heard, and apparently gets better. Uh, and it's only $30, so I'm probably gonna go snag that and check that out.
I think it's on Game Pass too. If you might double
Oh,
check,
is it really? Oh,
double
I
check,
got
maybe
yeah.
not, but yeah, I watched
Uh,
some streamers play it. It seems super fun. It is very anime. It is just
is it
very
kind?
anime. It kind of has that
It's like
style to it.
it's like anime.
Inspired.
But it's like if it's Japanese people that wanted to make like a Western comic is what it feels like,
Yes. Yeah.
So it's like it reminds me like a little bit of like old school like American 90s games like Beyond Good and Evil, like that kind of
I
stuff.
think
I
I
don't
heard
know.
someone describe it as like, what if people who watched Foolie Cooley made Foolie Cooley, but a game?
Holy shit, that's perfect. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
fully coolly.
It's
Yeah, you're
it
right.
seems
This
very
is
kind
fully
of music influenced, action, over the top, bombastic kind of. Yeah.
And yeah, my only other thing is I shouted out Hi-Fi Rush because not as many people know about it, but Dead Space remake looks fucking amazing.
Been hearing
I
very
love
good
that game.
reviews on that. Yep.
Yeah, Dead Space 1 and 2. I'm not a huge horror guy because the games I like horror a lot, but like stuff like Alien Isolation, Amnesia, they stress me out too much, and I just
Yep. Too
don't end up
stressful.
beating them.
I turned on
Dead
Elden Ring and the music started in one of the caves, and I was like, this is too scary and too stressful for me to do again. I
right.
can do it once and make it through. I don't really want to do it again.
No, I know that feeling exact. Like Dead Space is actually a scary game, but you're also like pretty strong. You have
Yeah.
like plasma cutters. You have the tools to handle every situation. So that balances it out to where I'm like the perfect amount of stressed, to
Yeah.
where I'm still having fun and not just like in full like I want to get done with this level as soon as possible mode.
Yeah, I'm generally okay on the action horror where it's like if you give me a way to handle the horror with an explosion or a grenade launcher, I'm pretty cool with it. Like I've played the Resident Evil games. I'm fine with those. Yeah, Dead Space those are great games. But yeah, Amnesia, nope, can't do that one.
Yeah, and it's I was messaging you about this, but it's clear like the Amnesia devs, the Alien Isolation devs, they found out that like, if you don't give them a tool to fight the monster with,
It's
it
scarier.
makes it way scarier,
It's
and
way
goddamn they're right.
scarier. They are right.
Uh
Yes, they know.
it's and I think humanity learned it from Resident Evil 2 with the big guy chasing you and you
Oh,
can't do anything about
you're talking about 3.
it.
Or no,
Oh,
I guess
is it
it's in 2, yeah. It's at
uh
Mr. X in
police
2, and
station?
then it's
Yeah.
Nemesis in, not technically
It,
3. Nemesis is like 3.5 or something, but yeah.
I think it's
Or no,
I didn't
Nemesis is
play.
3,
Yeah.
but the actual
Nemesis.
sequel to 2 is Code Veronica? I don't know. Resident Evil's
I
wild.
yeah. I'm not super sure because I'm not like a huge RE guy, but yeah, that was a blocker for me on 2 because it freaked me out. Mr. X, the guy who lifts a helicopter,
It's
right?
not too bad. Yeah. It's stressful, but it's only for like, I don't know. It's only for 30 or 40 minutes that he chases you, and then you escape him, and it's fine, so.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
There's just like one section of the game where he is chasing you and you have to like, go find a tablet to put into a chess piece board, something. You just like do that. And then once you do that part, he's not around anymore. So
Who designs a police station that way? Find the golden amulet to
I
put
don't know.
in the raven statue. It's like, God, just have prison
I would love to
cells.
have a house that was just like that. Like, oh, you need to go to the bathroom? Like, you got to find 3 keys, dude. Sorry.
Yeah. You better pull the right book on the bookshelf, otherwise you got to piss your pants.
Oh, your bedroom? You're going to have to do some backtracking to get to your bedroom. That would be a cool house to have.
No, people would just be shitting their pants. Literally because they can't find your bathroom.
You turn the eagle statue, and then you turn the horse statue, and then you go back to the rat statue, and there's a key, and then you get that key, and that opens the door, and now you have the crank, so you can crank the door open. This is how every building in Resident Evil games are designed. Like, what is it, like the power substation system in, I think it's the 2 remake, is like, you get like 3 or 4 chess pieces, and you can arrange them in 8 boxes in different ways to open different doors or like do different things. Who would design a power station like that? No one. It's insane.
See, the trade-off is the rent was pretty cheap.
There you go.
So
I would pay less rent if it was just solve a puzzle to take a piss. Like, yeah, sure. I guess I'd save money that way.
Yeah, that's the trade-off. Yeah. God damn, that's so funny.
Yep. All right. Well,
that's all I got.
That's all I got too. Anything else? Any other manga mentions, manga takes that cap us off?
Aside from I guess next time let's talk about Tank Man, since we had a few chapters of that recently.
Yeah, we'll catch up. We'll do a big catch up episode of the new year. Maybe talk about some of the little stuff we haven't. Like we could talk about
sorry, not Tank Man, it's Tank Chair.
Tank Chair. That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can check in on Tank Chair. We should check in on Replicant. We never really did we talk about Akane? We talked about it maybe a week or 2 ago. Yeah, I don't know. There's lots of little stuff we could check in on. Next week, I think I will be able to do an episode next week, but we'll see. If not, you'll get our hot take. Yeah, TBD next week. In case you're a weekly listener, I know there might be 1 or 2 of you out there. But if not, you will be getting our hot take episode, which is good. So yeah, thank you for listening or watching. If you are listening and you want to watch us, we are live on the White Gray Black YouTube channel right now, usually every Tuesday night at 7 Central. The VODs should be up in the next day or 2 on the White Gray Black podcast channel, along with the podcast in audio format where most podcasts are found. Specifically, we are on Apple and Spotify. Those are the 2 big ones. If you want to support me and the channel, check out my Patreon. That is patreon.com/WGBmanga. We are listener supported here, and we would like to keep doing this. We're going to keep doing it whether you support or not, but supporting does help us get more stuff, more funds, have a little bit higher production on the show. So if you want to support any of that, check us out. Follow me on Twitter. I like to post once a day, or you'll see some comments. You'll see me talk about a lot of the same things I do on the show there. But yeah, thank you so much for being with us.
Yep, thanks a bunch. Follow me on MySpace, and I'll see you next time.
I'm also on Zanga. Don't forget to read more manga, everybody. Adios.
See ya.